recording is ready now.
Ok, alright. Let me see. Gostaria que o senhor comentasse sobre o contraste entre marketing e sludge. Ok. Let's talk about this a little bit, okay? All right, so marketing, nudge, and sludge, okay? This is kind of something, I mean, very much important in this class. So let me refresh your memory here about the distinction between those terms, okay? So marketing, well, you have lots of different techniques to sell more, right? And some of them are psychological in nature. Some other are not so much as a psychological feature, but mostly like techniques. So, for example, you have colors. Uh, a maneira como você usa cores no, na embalagem de um produto, a maneira como você distribui os pontos de venda numa cidade, tudo isso são técnicas de marketing. Okay, so marketing is like a whole bunch of different techniques so that companies can sell more, right? Some of them are psychological in nature, but most of them are not, okay? All right. Now, when we move to behavior economics, we have two other guys here, nudge and sludge. So the first one, we had to just find the distinction between marketing techniques of psychological nature, which we call persuasion, okay, and nudge. So let's remember the distinction between these two things. When you're talking about persuasion, we want to change people's behavior to get advantage for us, ok? Então, na persuasão, eu estou querendo alterar ou influenciar o comportamento de alguém em meu benefício. Now, when we talk about nudge, we are trying to influence people's behavior in their own benefit. So we are trying to help them out, help them making better decisions for them, not for me. Okay? So in persuasion, we want to get advantage and then we try to manipulate people. In nudge, we just want to help people making better choices for themselves. And it has to be subtle, okay? When we talk about nudge, we're talking about like a small attempt to influence people's behavior. We don't want to force no one to do anything, okay? No caso do nudge, a gente não está querendo forçar a pessoa, nem obrigar, nem restringir as opções dela. A gente quer simplesmente ajudá-la a ver melhor as opções que ela tem e escolher a melhor que é melhor para ela. All right. Now, the last one, which you mentioned here in your question, is sludge. In the case of sludge, we are back to some sort of persuasive technique. But in this case, what we're trying to do is to prevent people from doing what they want. So the sludge is the opposite of nudge, okay? In all senses. In the case of nudge, you want to help people making better choices for themselves. In the case of sludge, we want to prevent people from exercising their freedom, and that's not in their interests. It's in our own interest, okay? É quando a gente quer bloquear a livre expressão do interesse das pessoas. So it's the opposite of nudge. And it's not subtle, it's evident, okay? It's something that changes completely the way you work. So let me give you, as always, the example of sludge is when you try to cancel some sort of subscription. You have a cable TV service, or you have a cell phone service, right? You have the chips and you can access like Vivo, TIM, Claro. If you want to cancel those services, you have a hard time. You have to do a lot. You have to call them, you have to send them some messages, then you have to wait for some days. They want to prevent you from doing what you want. If you want to see a sludge, you observe it personally. Try to do this, okay? Let's say that you have a subscription plan in your cell phone and that you pay, I don't know, $60 a month, okay? So try to go to the lower level of that service. Try to move from the service you have now for changing that for a cheaper one. If you try to do that, it's almost impossible. They prevent you all sorts of ways. They say, no, you can't do that. No, you have to cancel your subscription. No, you're going to lose your number. No, they block your attempts to move to a cheaper subscription. And they do that on purpose, and it's absolutely evident that they are trying to block you. So this is sludge. All right. Good point. Thank you, João. All right, guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about the last aspect of organizational behavior, but it's kind of not so much talking about behavior economics itself, but a challenge for organizations, and in a sense, what behavioral economics has to offer. Okay, so we're going to talk tonight about sustainability, sustentabilidade. Okay, so what is sustainability? Let's start from that. Who can give me like a simple description of what is sustainability? You can use Portuguese, English, or anything. Quem é que poderia me dar aí uma descrição bem simples, bem básica do que é sustentabilidade? Vamos lá, pessoal. Pode ser no chat. Deixa eu ver. Susan, go ahead, please.
It's Mario's because I'm using the same account.
Okay.
My
All right.
I think when you use I forgot the name now.
Sustainability.
When you use the natural resource to do things that we used to do with a not natural resource. I don't know.
Oh, you start using natural resources to in replacing something that is not natural.
Yes.
Okay, so you try to do things using natural and renewable resources. That's your point, right, Mario?
Yes, that's it.
All right, good. So, yeah, this is one aspect of sustainability, because if we keep using stuff that will finish, I mean, that it's not renewable, at some point they will be gone, and then we're going to have to do something else. So we have to start that transition. Yeah, that's a good point of sustainability. I can see here someone wrote in the chat saying utilizar os recursos de modo a garantir que sejam disponíveis para satisfazer as necessidades das futuras gerações também. All right, good. So sustainability may be like, yeah, you want to exercise your choices now in such a way that you will not compromise people's choices in the future. Né? Se eu, por exemplo, for lá e destruir a floresta amazônica, eu não vou ter na próxima geração a possibilidade de usufruir da floresta amazônica em vez de destruí-la. Eu comprometi de uma maneira definitiva a opção da geração futura. Yeah, this is a good point. I mean, it's a central idea in sustainability. I think Kyle raised his hand too. You want to complement that, Kyle?
No. You guys already talked about what I was gonna say.
All right, good. Now, so yeah, you guys know, we all know what sustainability is about these days, but What we're trying to remember here is that sustainability, it will be also the idea that we can keep doing stuff that we are doing now, right? And we can still enjoy the same quality of life that we have now, right? We don't want to um, behave in such a way that in a near future we are going to be forced to change completely the way we live. So the idea that something is sustained, which means it's like continuous and it will keep going almost the same as it is right now for a long time, right? Now, think about this for a while. There's always this joke I tell people. I think you guys have heard before, but here it comes. If you find a friend, you haven't talked to this friend for a long time, and then if you find this friend, say, hey, how is it going? It's a long time no see. Yeah, yeah. So, well, how's your life going? Yeah, I'm doing fine. I got married. Oh, you got married? Yes, yes. Okay, all right. So, how is your marriage? And then the person answers, well, my marriage is sustainable. Imagina alguém perguntar, um amigo encontra com outro depois de muito tempo, pergunta, e aí, como é que está seu casamento? O cara fala, tá sustentável. That doesn't sound really good, right? It looks like it's bare minimum, right? If you say that something is sustainable, it looks like, well, yeah, it is not improving, it is not decaying or degrading so fast. So yeah, it keeps going. It, it doesn't look great if something is merely sustainable. A ideia de sustentabilidade pode ser talvez uma coisa assim, um objetivo medíocre. Não me entendam mal, tá? Os desafios que a gente tem pela frente como civilização são muito grandes, até para esse objetivo medíocre. Mas talvez a gente possa fazer mais do que simplesmente ser sustentável. All right, so this is the idea I want to start you guys on, okay? Sustainable not exactly is a great thing. It's not, it may be like the most important step civilization has taken so far, but it is still one first step. We have lots of other steps in order to achieve even better positions, right? Okay, so this is the idea. Now, before I show you what I want to show tonight, let me just ask you this question. Sustainability for me and you is such a different concept than sustainability for a company, for an enterprise, a business. Is this the same thing for us and for managers, or I don't know, CEOs of big companies? When we say sustainability, do you think we mean the same things as they do? What do you say?
I think no, because sometimes we have the interest conflict.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, in some business, sustainability may become like huge extra costs for them. All of a sudden, they have to pay for lots and lots of stuff that nowadays they don't pay for it. Yeah. No, it may sound like this, or at least many business people will think like this, right? Not all of them. All right, Mario, what I want to show you, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes, is that there is this myth. There's this myth that sustainable business pays higher costs. Okay? Existe esse mito. Esse mito é muito, muito prevalecente. E esse mito diz assim: uma empresa sustentável tem custos mais altos. Se eu for não sustentável, eu consigo vender mais barato. All right, so this may be like in conflict with what you guys have learned in Economics 101, in Economia 1. Most of you here have taken Economia 1 with me. And I told you guys about externalities, right? Eu contei para vocês que muitas empresas, elas deixam de pagar o custo, por exemplo, de instalar um filtro na chaminé da sua fábrica, mandam a poluição lá para os outros, e com isso elas conseguem produzir mais barato. Por quê? Porque elas não estão pagando pelo filtro. Então elas estão mandando custo para terceiros. E aí, pode mesmo, comparado com uma outra empresa que instala os filtros todos bonitinhos, a gente pode ver que essa empresa até teve custos menores. Por quê? Porque ela não se responsabilizou por um custo dela. Ela está mandando custo para terceiros pagarem na forma de adoecimento. All right, so this is not a myth. This is true. The myth is that you can't find an alternative to produce without polluting that it is less expensive than the one we have today. O mito é de que é impossível adotar um processo de produção com custos menores do que a empresa poluidora. E aí as pessoas falam, então necessariamente eu só tenho dessas duas opções, eu não tenho uma terceira. Uma opção, instala o filtro, paga mais caro. Outra opção, não instala o filtro e sai mais barato para a empresa. O mito é que não existe uma terceira opção. A terceira opção é falar assim, eu vou usar outros produtos de forma que eu sequer gero a poluição do ar para começar. E daí os filtros são desnecessários. All right, so let me hear what Mario has to say here. Go ahead, Mario.
I think immediately there is high cost. For example, if you change the energy of your house to a solar system, maybe in the first month there is a high cost, but after and during the years the price it will going down.
Yeah, that's true. And I can tell you that in a personal level because I did that. I spent 10,000 reais. I installed 11 of these, I don't know how they say, platforms. I don't know. 11 placas daquelas de captação solar. And so I spent 10,000 reais in the beginning. And it's been more than 2 years now. And my bill, my electric bill is like, I don't know, 100 reais. Before, it was like 500 reais. So, it's already paid itself. Em menos de 2 anos, o investimento já se pagou. Eu já tive de volta os 10 mil reais que eu perdi, que eu gastei no início. All right, so that's a good point. Let me check here. I have some questions in the chat. So, Kyle is saying, would you say that the global rates of meat consumption, as they are today, and given the rising global population, is simply unsustainable? Então, my answer to this is that no, they are not. But once again, is there only 2 options? One option is this. We are going to produce meat the way we do, and we're going to eat meat as much as we do now. And then we're going to destroy the planet. The other option is we're going to stop eating meat, or at least we're going to reduce drastically meat consumption, and then we can save the planet. All right, so this is the second option, right? Now, what I'm trying to say to you, Kai, is that there's a third option. We can produce meat in a better way to start with that will not generate all the environmental impact that we have today. So, can we produce meat in such a way that we spend less water? Yes, we can. Can we produce meat in such a way so that we don't create so much methane, which is like one of these gases of greenhouse effect, right? Dos gases de efeito estufa é o metano. O metano é produzido na digestão dos ruminantes. Can we produce meat without methane production? Yes, we can. So That's exactly the point. We don't have only two choices. We have third options, okay? In most of the times. The other question Kyle has made here, if there is no known solution to address this problem, wouldn't the cost of developing a more sustainable solution be higher than not developing or adopting an alternative? Well, you will never know unless you try, right? Here's the thing about innovation. We only see the winners. When we look at, I don't know, a product like this, we only see the winner. We don't see how many people failed trying to produce this thing. So the social cost of innovation many times is much higher than we realize. So yes, you're right about that. I mean, even sustainable innovations for sustainability, they may cost a lot. But as far as we've seen so far, there is no near end for human creativity. Creativity. There is no near end for innovation, for absolutely different technologies that we have today. Let me just give you this example, Caio. People are saying that as soon as we have quantum computers, we are going to be like so much faster in all sorts of tasks like digital technologies that we are going to be in a whole different world. Então, as pessoas apostam que quando a gente der esse salto de fazer computação quântica, ele vai significar praticamente como se fosse a invenção de uma nova internet. De tanto que aquilo vai mudar a nossa vida, mudar a forma da gente fazer tudo. So, yeah, I mean, we don't look to be so close to finishing or to using all possible alternatives. So we still may have like breakthrough innovations like just ahead of us, which means that my life and your lives will be changing much faster from now on. So I don't know, 10 years ago, when I started teaching at 17 years ago, when I started teaching at UFRPE, I wouldn't even imagine that I could be at my home using a computer to teach a class of 17 people in English. Nunca, nunca, nunca imaginei, há 17 anos atrás, que antes da metade da minha carreira na Rural, eu estaria ensinando em inglês uma disciplina da minha casa e tendo vocês assistindo cada um na casa de vocês. 17 anos atrás. As coisas mudam muito rápido. All right, let me check here. Oh, Mario, thanks. Yes, solar plate. That's the name of the thing I was trying to say. Lucas is saying, isso seria muito bom para o trabalhador, mas aposto que ainda vão ser forçados a trabalhar 8 horas por dia sem aumento de salário. KKKKK. Well, it may happen, yeah. But, I mean, if you look at reality and you check the numbers, Lucas, it is hard not to convince yourself that people are working fewer hours. You may say, oh, come on, Luis, it may be you, but I'm not doing that. No, let me be more specific about this. As pessoas estão conseguindo o resultado de 8 horas de trabalho em 3, 4. E, infelizmente, elas estão gastando mais horas se deslocando para o trabalho. Elas estão gastando mais horas, às vezes, tendo que convencer a outras pessoas do que elas estão fazendo. Mas para executar as tarefas que elas faziam, elas estão fazendo em cada vez menos tempo. Então, não quer dizer que o número de horas que você vai ter que estar lá, no ambiente de trabalho, vai cair. Mas quer dizer que talvez a maior parte dos dias seus, você vai terminar seu trabalho antes das 3 da tarde. E o resto das últimas 2 horas você vai desperdiçá-lo lá em reuniões inacabáveis, discussões que não levam a nada, e, enfim, especulando lá.
Sim, professor. É mais ou menos esse o ponto da minha crítica mesmo. Porque
Uhum,
quando passou, por exemplo, da datilografia para computadores, a
uhum,
produtividade aumentou em mais de 10 vezes, dependendo do setor. Por
uhum,
exemplo, o cartório, que a pessoa precisava datilografar tudinho, era
uhum.
muito mais lento. E
É,
aí, assim, aumen- aumentou a produtividade, mas o trabalhador continua trabalhando 8 horas por dia e recebendo a mesma coisa que recebia antes. É
é,
complicado, só aumenta no bolso do patrão.
pois é verdade. Tem aí um problema grave na economia de hoje em dia, que é a desigualdade está crescente, ela não está diminuindo, está crescente. The interesting point is that if you look at the standard of living, is growing all over the world. So there is no question that civilization is moving forward, but inequality is increasing. Now think about this. On one hand, in general, we are living better lives. But the difference between poor and rich the differences are getting larger. Quer dizer, é verdade que o padrão de vida no mundo inteiro tem subido. Nos últimos 50 anos, é inegável isso. A quantidade de pessoas que hoje têm acesso a água potável, tratamento dentário, antibiótico e vacina é muito, muito maior do que de 50 anos atrás. Muito, muito. Não dá nem para comparar. Mas a diferença entre a qualidade de vida do rico e do pobre tem aumentado e não diminuído. All right, so those are all global issues. What we are doing here is talking about behavior economics of global issues. You want to mention something, Lucas? Go ahead. I think I stopped you. Go ahead.
Não, eu ia comentar só que esse ponto da desigualdade é muito forte mesmo. Inclusive, você vê isso até no hegemon do sistema, né? Os Estados Unidos. Ele é o hegemon do capitalismo e, ao mesmo tempo, mais que metade da população, uns 60 e pouco por cento, depende diariamente de cupom para poder se alimentar. É algo fascinante, porque um país tão rico e as pessoas, a população lá precisa de cupom para se alimentar, senão morre. O pessoal vive de subsistência lá, os mais pobres.
É, tem uma quantidade muito grande de pessoas que dependem mesmo do governo lá, é verdade, mas assim, tem que olhar com cuidado. As pessoas às vezes olham os Estados Unidos de uma maneira muito superficial. Tem algo muito impressionante nos Estados Unidos, sabe o que é, Lucas? É assim, qualquer pessoa com qualquer nível de habilidade, com qualquer nível de instrução, tem acesso a emprego e tem oportunidade de crescimento. Qualquer. É impressionante aquela economia. Pega assim, uma pessoa com síndrome de Down. Né? Você sabe que é, claro, uma deficiência que não é totalmente incapacitante, mas ela atrapalha muito a vida de uma pessoa. Pronto. Tem uma quantidade enorme de pessoas com síndrome de Down que trabalham, ganham dinheiro, ganham sustento, se sustentam nos Estados Unidos. Então, e se avançar, crescem. Se desenvolver mais, se correr atrás, aumenta a renda. Então, existe alguma coisa muito impressionante naquela economia de falar assim, talvez com poucos lugares do mundo, uma pessoa se dedica disciplinadamente a crescer, cresce. É muito impressionante isso. Eu não acho que tenha nada parecido com isso em nenhum outro lugar do mundo. Mas, enfim. Então, tem muita gente pobre? Tem. Tem muita gente em situação de rua? Tem. Pessoas em situação de rua, você não consegue tirar de rua porque elas não querem sair de rua. Eu vi isso na cidade onde eu morei lá nos Estados Unidos, era capital do estado da Carolina do Norte. Eles tinham uma população de rua, cuidavam dessa população, principalmente na época de frio, e faziam de tudo para tirar essas pessoas de situação de rua. As pessoas se recusavam a sair da rua. Oferecia abrigo, não vou. oferecia apoio, emprego, não quero, eu quero ficar na rua. Um problema diferente do que a gente tem aqui, né? Eu acho que se você oferecer abrigo, oferecer emprego para uma pessoa de rua aqui no Brasil, a pessoa não volta para a rua. Lá a pessoa quer ficar na rua. Aí você fala, é um problema um pouco diferente do nosso, mas enfim. Who else was here with the hands up? I didn't realize. Go ahead, everybody. Who wanted to make a question? Go ahead,
Não,
Caio.
fui eu. Assim, permita-me discordar um pouco dessa afirmação que o senhor fez, né? Eu, assim, na minha visão também, eu vejo o contrário, né? Eles conseguem ser mais inclusivos com a exploração. Então, realmente, se você se submeter a determinadas situações e condições trabalhistas, você realmente consegue ser incluso no mercado. Mas eu não vejo, pelo menos eu não consigo enxergar dessa maneira que o senhor descreveu, que as pessoas estão em certas situações por um desejo ou uma vontade própria, entendeu? Ou uma parte delas.
Não, a gente nunca pode generalizar, né? Eu entendo sua opinião, Caio. Mas, assim, eu acho que o ponto que eu estava querendo dizer, talvez eu tenha exagerado um pouco a dose do que eu falei. Mas o que eu quis dizer é assim, é muito comum você ver um grupo de pessoas trabalhando numa equipe em que as pessoas estão ali, assim, entregando o mínimo possível só para não ser demitida. E elas ficam ali. Por quê? Porque tem emprego, tem ocupação, dá dinheiro. Na hora que uma dessas pessoas mostra, assim, uma atitude um pouquinho melhor, um pouquinho mais responsável, de se vestir um pouco melhor, de buscar atender o cliente com um pouquinho mais de atenção, essa pessoa é promovida a gerente, na hora. É muito impressionante, assim. Você faz a coisa direitinho, rapidamente alguém vê a diferença e te traz para cima. Aí isso acaba sendo uma espécie de uma coisa que se auto-reforça, porque o cara vê o reforço positivo da coisa que ele fez e ele faz mais. Acaba que, eu acho que o que leva é para um outro excesso, sabe, Caio? É da pessoa ficar obcecada com o trabalho. Então, aí que eu acho que está uma distorção bizarra lá na economia americana. É que as pessoas têm uma ética do trabalho que colocam o trabalho acima de tudo o resto. Acima de família, acima de saúde, acima de qualquer coisa. As pessoas se drogam para ter melhor desempenho no trabalho. Usam estimulantes para ter maior clareza mental, aguentar mais horas de trabalho seguido e tal. Eu acho isso completamente bizarro. Elas ficam podres de ricas, ficam ricas, sobem, mas elas estão se matando. Então, o senhor conhece alguma personalidade ou artigo que aborde esse assunto, João? I have read many of those things, but I'm going to try and select to you some of them, okay? I'm going to find some articles that talk about this. One book that I should immediately recommend is the one written by Eduardo Gianetti da Fonseca, which is called Trópicos Utópicos. Esse é um pensador brasileiro, economista, que fala assim, existe duas grandes vertentes de pensamento do Brasil. O Brasil é um país que deveria replicar o que os países ricos fazem para ficar rico. Então, é uma estratégia mimética, de mimetismo, de tentar repetir o que os outros fazem, copiar. E outros que falam assim, não, o Brasil deveria fazer uma coisa completamente nova, deveria ter uma utopia própria, uma proposta diferente de civilização. Então, Brasil utópico, Brasil mimético. E ele discute isso, mas o que ele fala, e aí é interessante, talvez especialmente para essa discussão, é que existe um mal-estar na civilização ocidental. A civilização ocidental parece ter atingido um limite no grau de satisfação trazido por esse ambiente extremamente competitivo, de busca de de maior renda, maior acesso a bens materiais, parece que chegou um determinado patamar que a pessoa ou não fica mais satisfeita ou fica até deprimida dentro desse contexto. Então, e ele traz lá as estatísticas de pessoas que se drogam, e, enfim, que mudam de vida, que depois de alçarem tanto sucesso, depois largam tudo e vão para outras coisas e tal. Right, so this is interesting stuff, but I'm going to try and find some other example of this, okay? I'm going to bring to you guys some other discussions about this. Let's go back to the topics that we began to talk tonight. We are talking about sustainability, and we want to discuss sustainability in businesses, okay? So let me show you right now this video. We are going to watch it together. One more time, we're going to have this TED Talks, okay? This one is with a guy called Ray Anderson. Ray Anderson is like, unfortunately, he's passed away. But he was like an absolutely different businessman. And he became very famous all over the world because of this. So let me share with you here this screen. And we're going to watch this video. It's like 15, 17 minutes, okay? But I will check first if you guys can hear well, all right? So let's see. Can you hear it?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. So let me just find here the subtitles in Portuguese. What do you say we use the subtitles in English? Which one you prefer, English or Portuguese? Vocês preferem
Could be English.
em português?
I prefer in English, but no, doesn't matter.
Okay. So let's keep it in English. And if you guys don't understand something, I will come back later and help you out, okay? All right.
Believe it or not, I come offering a solution to a very important part of this larger problem with the requisite focus on climate. And the solution I offer is to the biggest culprit in this massive mistreatment of the earth by humankind and the resulting decline of the biosphere. That culprit is business and industry, which happens to be where I have spent the last 52 years since my graduation from Georgia Tech in 1956 as an industrial engineer, come aspiring and then successful entrepreneur. After founding my company Interface from scratch in 1973, 36 years ago, to produce carpet tiles in America for the business and institution markets, and shepherding it through startup and survival to prosperity and global dominance in its field, I read Paul Hawkins' book, The Ecology of Commerce, the summer of 1994. In his book, Paul charges business and industry as one, the major culprit in causing the decline of the biosphere, and two, the only institution that is large enough and pervasive enough and powerful enough to really lead humankind out of this mess. And by the way, he convicted me as a plunderer of the earth. And I then challenged the people of Interface, my company, to lead our company and the entire industrial world to sustainability, which we defined as eventually operating a petroleum-intensive company in such a way as to take from the earth only what can be renewed by the earth naturally and rapidly, not another fresh drop of oil, and to do no harm to the biosphere. Take nothing, do no harm. I simply said, if Hawking is right and business and industry must lead, who will lead business and industry? Unless somebody leads, nobody will. It's axiomatic. Why not us? And thanks to the people of Interface, I have become a recovering plunderer. I once told a Fortune
Just a quick question. You guys know what a plunderer is? Essa palavra, plunderer, quer dizer saqueador. Então, ele falava, antes eu fui condenado como um saqueador do planeta. E agora eu sou um saqueador em recuperação. All right.
Magazine writer that someday people like me would go to jail. And that became the headline of a Fortune article that went on to describe me as America's greenest CEO. From plunderer to recovering plunderer to America's greenest CEO in 5 years. That, frankly, was a pretty sad commentary on American CEOs in 1999. Asked later in the Canadian documentary, The Corporation, what I meant by the go to jail remark, I offered that theft is a crime, and theft of our children's future would someday be a crime. But I realized for that to be true, for theft of our children's future to be a crime, there must be a clear, demonstrable alternative to the take, make, waste industrial system that so dominates our civilization and is the major culprit stealing our children's future by digging up the earth and converting it to products that quickly become waste in the landfill or an incinerator. In short, digging up the earth and converting it to pollution. According to Paul and Ann Ehrlich and their well-known environmental impact equation, impact, a bad thing, is the product of population, affluence, and technology. That is, impact is generated by people, what they consume in their affluence, and how it is produced. I know the equation is largely subjective. You can perhaps quantify people and perhaps quantify affluence, but technology is abusive in too many ways to quantify, so the equation is conceptual. Still, it works to help us understand the problem. So we set out at Interface in 1994 to create an example, to transform the way we made carpet, a petroleum-intensive product for materials as well as energy, and to transform our technologies so they diminished environmental impact rather than multiplied it. Paul and Ann Ehrlich's environmental impact equation, I is equal to P times A times T, population, affluence, and technology. I wanted Interface.
Deixa eu fazer uma pausa aqui, gente, só para perguntar para vocês aqui. Ele está falando assim, o impacto, a letra I, que está aparecendo aqui do lado esquerdo da equação, é igual population, então o tamanho da população. Aí aqui a letra T está falando technology, a quantidade de tecnologia que você usa aumenta o impacto total, ambiental, social e tal. Mas e tem essa palavrinha aqui de A, de affluence. Você sabe o que significa affluence? Affluence, que ele está se referindo?
It's about the money.
Yeah. Affluence é riqueza. Então, quanto mais pessoas você tiver, você tem maior impacto. Tudo mais mantido constante. Quanto mais riqueza, geração de riqueza, PIB, né, crescimento do PIB você tiver, maior impacto. E quanto mais tecnologia é usada, maior o impacto ambiental. Então, essa aqui é a equação básica que o tal do Paul Ehrlich coloca lá para ele como desafio.
To rewrite that equation so that it read I equal P times A divided by T. Now, the mathematically minded will see immediately that T in the numerator increases impact, a bad thing, but T in the denominator decreases impact. So I ask, what would move T, technology, from the numerator, call it T1, where it increases impact, to the denominator, call it T2, where it reduces impact? I thought about the characteristics of first industrial revolution T1 as we practiced it at Interface, and it had the following characteristics. Extractive, taking raw materials from the earth. Linear, take, make, waste. Powered by fossil fuel-derived energy, wasteful, abusive, and focused on labor productivity, more carpet per man hour. Thinking it through, I realized that all those attributes must be changed to move T to the denominator. In the new industrial revolution, extractive must be replaced by renewable, linear by cyclical, fossil fuel energy by renewable energy, sunlight, wasteful by waste-free, and abusive by benign, and labor productivity by resource productivity. And I reasoned that if we could make those transformative changes and get rid of T1 altogether, we could reduce our impact to zero, including our impact on the climate. And that became the Interface Plan in 1995 and has been the plan ever since. We have measured our progress very rigorously. So I can tell you how far we have come in the ensuing 12 years. Net greenhouse gas emissions down 82% in absolute tonnage. Over the same span of time, sales have increased by 2/3 and profits have doubled. So an 82% absolute reduction translates into a 90% reduction in greenhouse gas intensity relative to sales. This is the magnitude of the reduction the entire global technosphere must realize by 2050 to avoid catastrophic climate disruption. So the scientists are telling us. Fossil fuel usage is down 60% per unit of production due to efficiencies in renewables. The cheapest, most secure barrel of oil there is the one not used through efficiencies. Water usage is down 75% in our worldwide carpet tile business, down 40% in our broadloom carpet business, which we acquired in 1993 right here in California, city of industry, where water is so precious. Renewable or recycled materials are now 25% of the total and growing rapidly. Renewable energy is 27% of our total, going for 100%. We have diverted 148 million pounds, that's 74,000 tons of used carpet from landfills, closing the loop on material flows through reverse logistics and post-consumer recycling technologies that did not exist when we started 14 years ago. Those new cyclical technologies have contributed mightily to the fact that we have produced and sold 85 million square yards of climate-neutral carpet since 2004, meaning no net contribution to global climate disruption in producing the carpet throughout the supply chain, from mine and wellhead clear to end-of-life reclamation, independent third-party certified. We call it cool carpet. And it has been a powerful marketplace differentiator, increasing sales and profits. 3 years ago, we launched carpet tile for the home under the brand Floor, misspelled F-L-O-R. You can point and click today at floor.com and have cool carpet delivered to your front door in 5 days. It is practical and pretty too. We reckon that we are a bit over halfway to our goal, zero impact, zero footprint. We've set 2020 as our target year for zero, for reaching the top, the summit of Mount Sustainability. We call this Mission Zero. And this is perhaps the most important factor. We have found Mission Zero to be incredibly good for business, a better business model, a better way to bigger profits. Here's the business case for sustainability from real-life experience. Costs are down, not up, reflecting some $400 million of avoided cost in pursuit of zero waste, the first phase of Mount Sustainability. This has paid all the costs for the transformation of Interface. And this dispels a myth, too, this false choice between the environment and the economy. Our products are the best they've ever been, inspired by design for sustainability, an unexpected wellspring of innovation. Our people are galvanized around the shared higher purpose. You cannot beat it for attracting the best people and bringing them together. And the goodwill of the marketplace is astonishing. No amount of advertising, no clever marketing campaign at any price could have produced or created as much goodwill. Costs, products, people, marketplace. What else is there? It is a better business model. And here's our 14-year record of sales and profits. There's a dip there from 2001 to 2003, a dip when our sales over a 3-year period were down 17%, but the marketplace was down 36%. We literally gained market share, and we might not have survived that recession but for the advantages of sustainability. Now, if every business were pursuing the interface plan, would that solve all our problems? I don't think so. I remain troubled by the revised Ehrlich equation, I equal P times A divided by T2. That A is a capital A, suggesting that affluence is an end in itself. But what if we reframed Ehrlich further? And what if we made A lowercase a, suggesting that it's a means to an end, and that end is happiness. More happiness with less stuff. You know, that would reframe civilization itself. And our whole system of economics. If not for our species, then perhaps for the one that succeeds us, the sustainable species, living on a finite Earth, ethically, happily, and ecologically in balance with nature and all her natural systems for 1,000 generations or 10,000 generations, that is to say, into the indefinite future. But does the Earth have to wait for our extinction as a species? Well, maybe so, but I don't think so. At Interface, we really intend to bring this prototypical, sustainable, zero-footprint industrial company fully into existence by 2020. We can see our way now clear to the top of that mountain, and now the challenge is in execution. And as my good friend and advisor Amory Lovins says, if something exists, it must be possible. If we can actually do it, it must be possible. If we, a petro-intensive company, can do it, anybody can. And if anybody can, it follows that everybody can. Hawking fulfilled business and industry, leading humankind away from the abyss. Because with continued unchecked decline of the biosphere, a very dear person is at risk here. Frankly, at unacceptable risk. Who is that person? Not you, not I, but let me introduce you to the one who is most at risk here. And I myself met this person in the early days of this mountain climb on a Tuesday morning in March of 1996. I was talking to our people, as I did at every opportunity back then, bringing them along, and often not knowing whether I was connecting. But about 5 days later, back in Atlanta, I received an email from Glenn Thomas, one of my people in the California meeting. He was sending me an original poem that he had composed after our Tuesday morning together. And when I read it, it was one of the most uplifting moments of my life, because it told me, by God, one person got it. Here's what Glenn wrote, and here's that person most at risk. Please meet tomorrow's child. Without a name and unseen face, and knowing not your time or place. Tomorrow's child, though yet unborn, I met you first last Tuesday morning. A wise friend introduced us to, and through his sobering point of view, I saw a day that you would see, a day for you, but not for me. Knowing you has changed my thinking, for I never had an inkling that perhaps the things I do might someday somehow threaten you. Tomorrow's child, my daughter, son, I'm afraid I've just begun to think of you and of your good, though always having known I should. Begin I will, to weigh the cost of what I squander, what is lost, if ever I forget that you will someday come and live here too. Well, every day of my life since, tomorrow's child has spoken to me with one simple but profound message, which I presume to share with you. We are each and every one a part of the web of life, a continuum of humanity, sure, but in a larger sense, the web of life itself, and we have a choice to make during our brief visit to this beautiful blue and green living planet, to hurt it or to help it. For you, it's your call. Thank you.
All right, guys. Let me check first. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My camera here somehow looked like it stopped. Can you see me too?
It returns now. It was stopped, but it returns.
Yeah. Let me see what
It's
happened.
okay. It's not okay anymore.
All right. It went back.
It's okay again.
All right. So let me first and check with you guys. First, what is this about? What is this guy trying to say? Vamos primeiro dar uma passagem geral assim sobre qual foi a mensagem do tal do Ray Anderson. Depois a gente vai se debruçar em alguns aspectos específicos e vai tentar olhar onde é que tem economia comportamental aí. Go ahead, Mario. You can start.
He was a CEO
Uh-huh.
in a very big company,
Yeah.
and one day someone write in a newspaper
Mm-hmm.
or in a magazine that he was the most I don't know how can I say the the CEO that will kill the planet, something like
Yeah.
that.
The greenest. O mais
Yeah,
verde. Yeah.
yeah. And after 5 years, he became the greenest
Mm-hmm.
CEO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, there's a huge transformation, right? On what this guy saw and what he decided to do. What was the beginning? What was the start? What was the spark that made he changed his mind? What do you think? Qual que foi o gatilho, a faísca que fez esse cara mudar? Quem que se lembra? É claro que perguntar isso para mim é fácil, porque eu já assisti esse vídeo mais de 300 vezes. Eu já apresentei esse vídeo para praticamente todas as turmas de MBA que eu lecionei nos últimos 10 anos. Eu já apresentei esse vídeo para todas as disciplinas praticamente todas as disciplinas de Behavior Economics que eu já ensinei. Falo desse vídeo na rede social toda hora. Qual que foi o momento chave de mudança na vida desse cara, hein, gente? O que aconteceu que ele acordou? You don't remember? A book. He read a book by this guy called Paul Enrich, The Ecology of Commerce, a ecologia do comércio. Think about this title. A ecologia do comércio, a ecologia. What? What are you talking about? Like, there's like an ecology, a number of individuals, and they are playing as if they were animals in the biosphere, but we are talking about the commerce. Esse cara usa expressões como technosphere, biosphere, biosfera, technosfera. All right, so those are kind of interesting. But the book that he read, in this book, Paul Enrich said that if anyone could help us out of this mess, it would be businesses. Então, olha a tese que chocou o cara. Ele falou assim: a bronca que nós estamos como civilização é tão grande que não tem como a gente sair desse problema se a solução não vier das empresas. Aí ele falou assim: as empresas são as únicas entidades que são espalhadas o suficiente, fortes o suficiente e preparadas o suficiente para fazer essa mudança. Fora elas, não vai fazer. Se elas não fizerem, ninguém vai fazer. Então, é uma tese muito polêmica. Muito, muito polêmica. And then this guy, he was like a CEO in a company, and said, wow, so it is my job to save the world. I am the business owner, the plunderer of the world, and now I'm going to have to save the world. So this was the ignition. This was like the spark that made this guy think, can I do should we do? Somebody must lead. Who's going to lead? Someone has to lead. Why don't I try and lead? So we are talking about, as Mario said here, we are talking about a personal transformation. De repente, cara leu livro e falou assim, minha vida mudou. Eu tenho que fazer outra coisa, eu vou fazer outra coisa, eu criei outro propósito na minha vida. Right, so this is a good point. Now, what do you think it is like his purpose on this talk? Qual que é o propósito desse cara nessa conversa? A gente entende que ele está contando de uma transformação pessoal, mas quando o cara faz uma palestra dessa, ele está querendo alguma coisa. Qual que é o objetivo dele com essa conversa, com esse talk? What do you guys think it is? Qual que é a tese dele? Qual que é o argumento que ele está trazendo para convencer os outros?
Está trazendo o argumento de que se pode aumentar a produtividade ao mesmo tempo de estar ajudando o meio ambiente.
Pronto. Ele está falando assim, dá para ganhar mais dinheiro. Dá para ficar mais rico fazendo um negócio sustentável. O que ele está falando é assim, existe uma lógica econômica para a sustentabilidade. E faz mais sentido do que o modelo anterior. É isso que ele está falando. Se eu tenho um modelo que é sustentável e que é melhor do que o modelo anterior. Esse é o ponto dele. Você foi direto ali na ferida, Lucas. É esse que é o ponto. Ele fala assim. Eu vou mostrar. Pode falar.
Só uma pergunta. Só para voltar àquela primeira premissa que o senhor colocou. Sobre um dos mitos da sustentabilidade é que para se tornar mais sustentável, você teria que necessariamente se tornar mais caro, né? Mas é exatamente o que eu perguntei anteriormente, que eu acho que talvez não tenha, eu não tenha entendido a explicação. Custo de quando você tem uma alternativa, empresas inteligentes, eu presumo que se essa alternativa for economicamente mais viável e ao mesmo tempo ela seja mais sustentável, isso já seria o default, né? Já seria adotado de forma automática, digamos assim. Mas em situações em que, para se desenvolver, para se tornar mais sustentável, mesmo que ao longo prazo você consiga viabilizar isso de forma a ser economicamente viável, você tem um custo de desenvolvimento. Então, assim, no curto prazo, de qualquer forma, eu acho que você se torna mais custoso, né?
Certo. Sua análise está perfeita, cara, em tudo. O ponto é assim, você acabou de dizer assim, uma pessoa racional, se eu visse os dois modelos, ele falaria assim, vale mais a pena ir para o segundo. E aí você ainda vai falar assim, mas para ir de A para B, você tem que passar por C. E esse C custa mais caro, pelo menos temporariamente. Então, seus argumentos são perfeitos. Eu concordo com tudo que você está dizendo. Agora, vamos dar o último passo que eu estava tentando guardar para o final. O que você está descrevendo é o que a racionalidade diria. O que a racionalidade pura diria. Mas essa disciplina é uma disciplina sobre economia comportamental. E a gente está aqui para falar assim, a racionalidade humana não é a racionalidade pura. É exatamente esse o ponto. So, we are going ahead because I wanted to talk lots of other stuff before we reach this point, but it's okay. You know, sometimes we are just too fast. But the point is exactly this. Yes. No, it's okay, Kyle. Don't worry. I mean, we can't stop evolution. Okay, we don't have a commitment with speed. It's not that point. The point is this. You have two options. One of them is clearly better than the other. then it is natural that you ask yourself, why don't we take the better choice? If you are rational, you take the better choice. But then we are talking about behavior economics and we say, we are not that rational. We have some bounded rationality. We have limitations in cognition. And those limitations are not trivial. They are not overcome like this. You know, it's like just snap your fingers and obstacles are gone. Society has to change, and in order to change, they have to believe it is good to change. It is a bet, and it's a risky bet. What we have learned so far, the human brain is not good at taking bets. We don't calculate probabilities well. We don't make good decisions when risk is involved. We don't have good decisions then. Our brains are not ready for those. So we make predictable mistakes. But the second point you made is like even better from a behavior economic perspective. You say, okay, moving from A to B, it is clearly moving to a better position. But you have some intermediate point in which you may have to spend much, much more, at least for some time. And then we also have behavior economics talking about this. We talked about present bias. We talk about planning fallacy. We talked about how hard it is for us to sacrifice now and get better in the future. It is a feature of the human reasoning. It is our judgment. That's the task. So when this guy shows up, he's not fighting other industry. He's not fighting people who think differently than him. He's fighting our limitations, our cognitive limitations. And we have to ask, do you think this guy has credibility to tell what he's saying? I mean, to say what he's saying? Você acha que esse cara tem credibilidade para falar o que ele está falando?
Com certeza.
Sim.
Well, yeah, he come and say, look, I did, for Christ's sake. I took all my money, all my time, all my company, and I did. I can prove to you it is possible. So it is not anymore a matter of can we do it? It's a matter of why we don't do it. Because I have done, it's here. And by the way, if you guys quit this class tonight and you search the internet for Interface, the company, it is still there. And it still published the results in terms of gas emission, on the quality of the carpets, the products that they sell. You can see all of that. The guy is dead, unfortunately. He passed out of a cancer, I think, or something. But the company goes on. And the company is a sustainable one. And it's a world leader in its sector. So he made it. He comes and say, look, you may believe it or not, but here it is. It is a proof. I did that. And he said, the amount of money that I saved in costs paid for the transformation. I'm showing you here, I started using renewable resources. I started getting inputs or recycling material from landfills. Vocês conhecem essa expressão, gente? Esse cara pediu autorização para a prefeitura da cidade onde a empresa existia para ir lá e escavar o lixão lá, o aterro sanitário, para tirar material. Ele precisou de autorização da prefeitura, porque não existia isso há 30 anos atrás. Ele chegou lá na prefeitura e falou assim, eu quero autorização para escavar o aterro sanitário. Os caras falaram, como é? Eu estou buscando material plástico borracha desse tipo e desse tipo. Para que você quer esse lixo? Eu falei assim, não, eu vou usar isso aí para produzir carpetes novos. Tudo bem, mas eu vou ter que pôr uma taxa aqui para você pagar, porque, sei lá. Aí o cara falou, tudo bem, pode pôr aí, eu vou pagar. E aí ele viu e falou assim, é mais barato eu buscar rejeito no lixão e reutilizar para produzir do que comprar da indústria petroquímica material novo. So, I mean, it may look like a simple case and just one case, but what we're saying here is that this guy, he faced no obstacle. I mean, he faced all the obstacles. He said, all right, what's the difficulty here? Oh, we don't have material. Oh, no? So let's search for it. I pay your salary. I tell you, go ahead and look for material. So he was determined to find the solution, okay? Yeah, I mean, the guy was like unstoppable. Now, the point here, my class is almost finished, and I'm going to have to go back to this discussion next time. But I want you guys to think about this. Go back to this video, watch it again, and I can tell you it's worth, because I have watched it for 300 times. Watch this again and try to notice how carefully planned his talk is. Cada palavra e cada argumento que ele usa nessa palestra está encadeado de uma maneira absolutamente lógica para te mostrar que o que ele está te fazendo ali não é uma tentativa de manipulação. Ele está falando assim, olha, tá aqui. Começou assim, eu tive essa ideia, eu comecei a fazer isso, eu pensava que era assim, eu fui assado, o que eu consegui foi isso, isso, isso e isso e isso. Now, the point I want to make before I finish this class tonight is just ask you this. Have you guys noticed that the guy used a poem to convince business people about sustainability? Vocês perceberam que esse cara usou um poema no final de um argumento teoricamente direcionado para homens de negócio, para empresários? And the second point is this. Did you notice how he's dressed? Deu para reparar que esse cara está usando uma camisa nos anos 2000, que não deve ser mais nova do que uns 25 anos. O cara está usando uma camisa claramente dos anos 70, assim. Acho que meu pai não tem mais desse tipo de camisa. It is not accidental. Every little thing he did in this talk had a purpose. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He used poem. He talked about tomorrow's child. He touched people's heart. He's shown you the figures, the numbers of his business. And he said, go ahead, try and argue against me, because I have all the numbers here. I can prove it to you. Essa é uma das palestras mais convincentes que eu já vi alguém dar sobre qualquer assunto. É muito difícil você encontrar um ponto ali. E eu já procurei. Eu vou deixar essa tarefinha para vocês, tá, gente? Na próxima aula eu vou contar para vocês. Tem uma coisa que ele fala errado. Ele comete um equívoco lógico. Mas isso aí eu deixo para ver se vocês foram... tiveram a curiosidade de descobrir. No próximo encontro eu conto para vocês. All right? Okay, so I'm going to submit you the link for this video in the WhatsApp group. And if you guys have the chance, please go ahead and watch it again before Friday. For Friday, there will be another video and some more tasks for you to work on. Okay? Any questions before we finish? All right, guys, it was very good to talk to you tonight. I love this talk, and I think we had a good time. So take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, see ya.
All right. Boa noite, gente.